Junior doctors are striking, and that is a big deal, because it's not just about pay, although that's what you will read in the headlines. There are much bigger issues at stake here, and I'll explain why. A reminder that junior doctors include anyone from the time that they finish medical school up until they become a consultant or a GP. The minimum time it takes to complete your training as a junior doctor varies from between about 5 years at a minimum, but can go up to 10 years or even more if you do research such as a PhD. But first, a sobering statistic, because a barista at Pret is paid £14.10 an hour, which is a penny more than a junior doctor in their first year of training. And this is someone who's already completed 5 to 6 years of medical school, racked up between around £50,000 to £100,000 of student loans, and is expected to work night shifts, weekends, and look after those who are extremely unwell and dying. I'm certainly not saying that a barista doesn't deserve a good wage. They do. But I think it's fair to say that a doctor probably deserves a bit more than that, given the level of training, skill, risk, burden, and stress that is placed on them. Wouldn't you agree? The thing is, doctors are not even asking for a pay rise, they're asking for pay restoration. Because if you look at the rate of inflation over the past 15 years, and then look at the amount that doctors are paid, you'll find that they're actually being paid less money than they were before, even though they're doing exactly the same job. That means that a doctor of the same stage today is earning the equivalent of 26% less than in 2008, which is absurd. And don't take it just from me, the Financial Times have even identified this downward trend. Also, bear in mind that the same job has actually become much more challenging, because there is now a much higher burden on the NHS in terms of patients, along with significantly reduced resources, meaning that most shifts are understaffed in terms of nurses and doctors. And the most recent national training survey, which is completed by all junior doctors, showed that 2/3 of them are at moderate or high risk of burnout, and 63% of them have reported suffering from depression, anxiety, or another medical condition, which is either related to or worsened by their work. They simply can't go on. And sadly, they won't, because 79% of them are considering leaving the NHS. And I've heard some commentators call doctors greedy and selfish, but the fact is that 71% of doctors need to work over and above their contracted hours just to pay their bills. And this isn't hyperbole or spin. These are genuine feelings of doctors working in the NHS right now. And it's no secret that the only reason the NHS functions is because it relies on the goodwill of staff going the extra mile for their patients. But doctors are past breaking point now. And if we want the NHS to survive, we need to retain our staff, and that includes our junior doctors, as well as our nurses and paramedics who are also on strike right now. None of them are asking out of greed, but out of necessity. Given that the working conditions in the NHS are so poor, how can we expect the best and the brightest doctors in our country to stay here caring for you? Because it's becoming more and more appealing to work abroad, where they'd be paid twice as much and work fewer hours in better conditions in practically any other developed country in the world. So the bigger question at the heart of all of this is how much the government actually values the staff in the health service, and indeed the existence of the health service at all. Remember that no doctor wants to strike. This is a last-ditch attempt to get the government to start to negotiate, because so far they've refused to even entertain that possibility. And doesn't that tell you everything you need to know? I hope you'll share this video with anyone who might need convincing that doctors deserve their pay restored, and let me know what you think in the comments below. And finally, if you're angry about the current state of the NHS, and if you want the NHS to exist as it did before, where it was a world-renowned system that looked after you efficiently and safely from cradle to grave, start thinking about where to target your frustration. Because trust me, junior doctors, GPs, nurses and paramedics are not the enemy here.